Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel DIY with Nsi. So in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make a simple straight pants with a waistband. So for this straight pants I'll be making use of a 1.5 inch waistband. So when taking the full measurement for this pant, I'll go off by 1.5 inch before starting my measurement. So the full length for this pant is 43 inches, but I'll be adding extra 3 inches, making it 46 inches. I'll go ahead and mark this on my fabric. Then I'll use my ruler to straighten this out and make it visible, as you can see. Now on my starting line, since we'll be using a 1.5 inch waistband, I'll minus that 1.5 inch and then go ahead to mark my hip line, as you can see. So the hip line for this pants is 10 inch. So after minusing the 1.5 inch, I've gone ahead to mark that, and using my ruler, I've straightened it up. After doing that, I'll go ahead to mark my crotch line. For my crotch line, I'm using 13 inches. So I'll just quickly mark this and then use my ruler to straighten it out on the fabric. After I'm done with this, the next thing will be to mark our thigh line. So to get this, I'll come down from the crotch line by 4.5 inch and then use my chalk to mark this before going in with my ruler to straighten it out. The next step will be to take our hip measurements. So on the hip line, my hip measurement is 46 inches. Divided by 4, you have 11.5 inch. So I'll go ahead and mark that. Then I'll add 1 inch for ease. After doing this, I'll go on to the crotch line and take the same measurement I have on the hip line on my crotch line as well. The next step after this is to get the crotch depth. So to get this, I'll divide what I have on my hip by 4, and that will give me 3.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark that on the crotch line, and that becomes the crotch depth. Once I'm done with this, the next thing is to mark the same thing I have on my hip line on my waist line. Then I'll go in with my ruler and connect these lines like so. After connecting this line, I'll now proceed to curve this out to get our crotch depth. So for our thigh line, you're going to divide the thigh measurements by 2. So in this case, the thigh measurement is 30 inches divided by 2, that's 15 inches. So I'll go on and mark this on the thigh line. Then I'll also add 1 inch for ease. After marking this, I'll proceed to connect this to the crotch line. And then I'll go to the waist line to mark out our waist measurement. So for this waist, the measurement is 32 inch divided by 4, that's 8 inches. I've marked that out, and then I'll add 1 inch for that and another 1 inch for ease. Once I'm done doing this, I'll go in with my curve ruler and connect this to my hip line. After we are done connecting that to the hip line, proceed to the center front and come down on the waistline by 1 inch, as you see me do in the video. Then I'll use my ruler and connect it like so. And going back to the center front, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. So I have done that, and I'll also be connecting that still to the center front. Now the reason we are doing this is so we do not have a bulky center front. So on the thigh line, I've taken my thigh measurement, which is 16, divided by 2, that will give me 8 inch. So that is what I'm going to be using to mark out my green line on the pants. So I'll proceed to mark this out all the way to the hem of this pants before going in with my ruler to connect it. After I'm done connecting it, I'll come in by 1 inch like you see me do from the side, and I'll be doing this on both sides. So I'll just connect it like so all the way to the hem. Now after I'm done doing this, I'll take the measurement I have over here, and then on the other side of the pants I'll transfer that same measurement to it. Then I'll connect it using my ruler to the hem as well. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is so you do not have the side of the pants coming over to the front whenever you wear the pants, okay? So guys, the next step will be to cut out this front piece so we can use it and cut out our back piece. Be sure to take note of the measurement you have on the waistline when cutting it out. But guys, I'm done cutting out the front piece. I'll now go ahead and use a pin to pin this down so we can use it to cut out our back piece. Once I'm done pinning this down, I've gone ahead to place it on the fabric I'll be using to cut out the back piece. So please note, when you're cutting out your back piece, always make sure that you still have some fabric left at the top part of your waistline. That's because when cutting out the waistline for the back, you'll have to come up by 1.5 to 2 inches, depending on how big the hip is. Okay, so that is why I have to leave out some fabric at the top part of the waistline. So for the waist, I'll be coming out by 2 inches. I'll go ahead and mark that 2 inch all the way down to my hip line. Now for the crouch, I'll be coming out by 2.5 inches for the crouch line, like so, okay? Then coming down to my thigh line, I'll come out by 2 inches and mark that 2 inch all the way to the hem of this pant. I'll go on and connect this like you see me do in the video, and then use my ruler to connect all the way to the end. Now once I'm done doing this, next step is to mark our waistline on our back piece. So for the waistline, remember I said we'll be coming up by 1.5 to 2 inch depending on how big the person's hip is. I didn't know that this part was not showing in the video, so you bear with me guys. So for that center front, come up by 2 inches. For our back waistline, we are going to take the measurement you have on the front piece and transfer it to the back piece. So I'll go on with my tape and take the measurement of my front waistline, then transfer it to the back waistline. Now the reason we are doing it this way is because we want our waistline to be fitted. We do not want it to be looking loose or anything, since we are not making use of an elastic waistband. Okay, so I've gone ahead to take the measurements, and this is 10 inches. I'll now take it to the center front of my back waistline and make a mark on where I have 10 inches like you see me do in the video. Exactly 10 inches, that is where it's. I'll use my ruler and connect it from my center front down to where I have the 10-inch mark like you see me do in the video. So after I am done doing this, I'm going to take note of where I have my hip line. I've gone ahead to draw that out, and I'll use my curve ruler to connect the back waistline, the new back waistline, to where I have my hip line like so. The this is the front piece, and this is it. The front piece is where the main work is. For the back, you're basically just marking and then cutting out almost the same thing. So the only difference here is that for the back waistline, you have to come up by 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on how big your butt is. Okay, so for this person, she has a very big butt. That's I'm coming up by 2 inches for the back piece. So I'll just go ahead and then use my ruler to mark them, to cut. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead now and use my scissors to cut this out for the back piece. So we're basically done with the back piece. I'll just quickly go ahead and connect this here. So I'm done cutting out the back piece and the front piece of our pants. So I'll quickly take this to my machine and join the crotch area for both the front piece and the back piece together. Alright guys, so after joining the crotch area together, I went ahead to hold my dart. So for the dart, from that point where I did the stitching for 1/2 inch, I placed my tape there and went in by 4 inches. Then I came down by 3 inches. Then I did the stitching using 1/2 inch. Okay, so I did that on both the front piece and the back piece as well. After doing this, the next step will be to turn this over, right sides facing each other, using a pin to pin it down, and then take it over to the machine and sew using 1 inch from this crouch depth all the way to the hemline. Guys, so I am done joining the crotch depth all the way to the hemline, and this is what the pants looks like. Next step would be to turn this over, right sides facing each other, and then we'll use a pin to pin this down and secure it before taking it over to our machine and sew using 1 inch all the way from the waist down to the hemline. I'm done pinning this down and will quickly take it over to my machine and sew it. I've gone ahead to stitch this up on the side using 1 inch all the way to the hem of my pants. Alright, so I'll quickly go ahead. I've done the same thing on both sides actually. I've stitched by 1 inch. So I'll quickly turn this to the right side so we can see what it looks like. A few more steps left and we'll be done making this straight pants. The next step will be to attach a side zipper on this pants. So from the waistline, I'll be opening it up by 7 inches and then attach my zipper before proceeding to the next step. I've added my zipper. So the next thing I'll be doing, I'm going to take the round measurement of this and then cut out my waistband so that I can attach it to the waist of this pants. Alright guys, so I have gone ahead to cut out my waistband. When cutting the waistband, I added 3 inches to my actual waist measurement. Okay, 1 inch for ease and the extra 2 inch because I'll be attaching a hook and eye on the waistband. Okay, so what I'll do is to take this over now to my machine and then attach this all round the waistband. I'm going to take this to my machine right now and then sew this on my waistband like so. I'm going to do this all round. Now for someone who is new to this, you'd have to use a pin to pin this down and then secure it before you start sewing it around your waistline. Okay, but once I'm done with that, I'm going to bring it back here so you guys will see the results. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead to attach my waistband to my pants, and as you can see, this is what it looks like. It's gradually taking shape. In fact, we're almost done with it at this point. The final thing to do will be to go over to the machine and fold the hem of this straight palazzo pants, and that is going to be all. So I hope you did enjoy this video. If this is your first time watching, please make sure to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already done that. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.